Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. It's a day filled with loads and loads of reaction, and counter reactions are following equally, and more reviews of the 2023 presidential elections. The Labour Party and the PDP presidential candidate have held different press conferences today in the nation's capital, Abuja, where they claim they won the election and the promise that they will retrieve the mandate from the APC's Bola Tinubu through legal means. Those reactions get our attention tonight on the program. But first and foremost, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The president-elect Bola Tinubu is restating his commitment to build a united Nigeria. Tinubu stated this while paying a thank you visit to the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress in Abuja. He was received by the national chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and the national secretary of the party, Senator Iola Onishore, and other chieftains of the party. He notes that his administration will be a fair government guided by the rule of law, justice, and fairness.
I promise you, it's going to be a fair government, guided by the rule of law, justice, and fairness.
The Social Democratic Party (SDP) has commended all the political parties and candidates who participated in Saturday's election for showing proper decorum for the sake of national peace, despite the obvious lapses on the part of the electoral umpire. The national chairman of the SDP, Mr. Shehu Gabam, stated this at a news conference in Abuja, urging every aggrieved political party and candidate to seek legal redress, as the party's leadership will be approaching the court to reclaim the mandate of its members who contested in the National Assembly polls. The SDP national chairman also calls on the president-elect Bola Tinubu to take urgent and practical steps to unite the country and fix what he describes as obvious national cracks.
We are recommending to all those, including we in SDP, that disagreed to challenge it in the court of law.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars, wasting tons of time on troubleshooting with attendees? If so, you need StreamYard On Air. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce the launch of StreamYard On Air. StreamYard On Air is a live webinar platform. You can host a webinar, an event, or a live stream on StreamYard, or
by keeping to his promise of being just to all sections of the country and improve the standard of living of Nigerians. While reacting to the outcome of the election, the spokesman for the group, Mr. Abdulaziz Suleiman, also urges the judiciary to be fair in its dealings with the electoral disputes that will be presented before them for adjudication.
We therefore urge him to be magnanimous in victory by carrying everybody along, irrespective of tribe, religion, region, or political affiliation.
Following the declaration of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Imo West Senatorial District, Senator Osita Izunaso, as winner of the election, the candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Charles Sahize, has rejected the outcome of the election and declaration of the APC candidate, describing it as a charade and a sham that doesn't reflect the true picture of what happened at the polling booth.
We reject every of these Yahoo results that is calculated to subvert reflection of people's voting rights.
Also, the Labour Party's senatorial candidate for Abia North, Chief Nnamdi Orji, has called on the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, to urgently review the result declared for the February 25 senatorial poll held in the area. Addressing journalists in Umuahia, the Labour Party senatorial candidate appealed to the INEC chairman to quickly conduct fresh elections in those areas of Abia North where elections did not hold, noting that over 45,000 voters were disenfranchised in some wards and polling units across Arochukwu and Ohafia local governments.
Unfortunately, the next day we came out in mass ready to vote. INEC did not come. Mind you, these 100 polling units has over 45,000 registered voters.
Let's get to the meat of our conversation tonight, everyone. It was about 2 p.m. today in Abuja when the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, addressed the media, where he said he won the election and he will explore all legal options to reclaim his mandate. Mr. Obi said, quote, "We will explore all legal and peaceful options to reclaim our mandate. We won the election and we will prove it to Nigerians." I'd like you to take a listen to some portion of the press conference addressed by Mr. Peter Obi earlier today.
This election, as you know, did not meet the minimum standard expected of a free, transparent, credible, fair election. It will go down as one of the most controversial elections ever conducted in Nigeria. The good and hardworking people of Nigeria have again been robbed by our supposed leaders whom they trusted. However, let me humbly and most respectfully appeal to all Nigerians to remain peaceful, law-abiding, and conduct themselves in most responsible manner. Please be assured that Dati and I, and indeed all of us, this is not the end, but the beginning of the journey for a birth of new Nigeria. Dati Baba Ahmed and I remain absolutely undaunted and deeply committed to the project of a new Nigeria that will be built on honesty, transparency, fairness, justice, equity. All the above starts with the process. The process through which people come into office is far more fundamental, more important than what they do thereafter. It is my belief, and I've maintained so consistently, that if you must answer His Excellency, the process through which you arrive to office must be excellent. Let me reiterate, and I assure you that good people of Nigeria that will explore all legal and peaceful options to reclaim our mandate. We won the election, and we will prove it to Nigerians.
That was a portion of Peter Obi's media briefing earlier today. But just a few minutes before we started this program, the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, described the conduct of the election as a rape on democracy. He said the election was grossly flawed and must be challenged. You heard some of what he said at that press conference. Maybe before the end of the program, I might be able to bring you some part of that. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the APC, Senator Abdullah Adamu, says the presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, is indeed people's clear choice. Senator Adamu extended an olive branch to all presidential candidates who lost the polls and condemned the act of the PDP and Labour Party who called for the cancellation of the election. Take a listen to him.
I congratulate the candidates of our rival political parties. Together, we ran a good race. Their loss is not a rejection of what they stand for by the people. It is in the nature of competitions among political parties that out of the many that offer themselves to serve the people, only one is chosen at any given time. This time, we are lucky we have been chosen. We recognize the victors, but we will not recognize the vanquished. Our party extends its hands of patriotism to them. We enjoin them to join our party so that together we shall take up the same challenges for which they offered their services. But we are tempted.
Helen Hadsell was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had won 7 trips to Paris, boats, houses. She would basically take part in any sweepstake she read about, any contest, and she would just win. That made my documentary crew, and I asked Helen, how do you do that? And she spoke about this thing called the Silva technique. Helen, you see, was Jose Silva's former PR manager. She had the benefit of learning closely from that man. Now, Jose Silva was a radio repairman who lived in the border town of Laredo, Texas in the 1940s. He had 10 kids, and his kids were not doing very well in school. Now, Jose Silva had a crazy idea. You see, he had served in the US Army, and he was fascinated by the psychological questions that the Army psychologists would ask new recruits. So he decided to look at psychology and then look at what he knew about radio repair and figure out how he could change the mindset and the brains of his kids so they could do better in school. As a radio repairman, he knew that if you reduce the resistance of a wire, more electricity flows through it. So he wondered, what could I do to reduce the resistance in the human mind? He decided to experiment with reducing any form of resistance in his children's brain. He experimented with biofeedback. He experimented with hypnosis. And sure enough, his children's grades started improving at school. But then something astonishing happened. He was sitting down with his daughter, Isabel, reading a history book and asking Isabel questions. So he would guide Isabel into a restful state of being. She would have her eyes closed. He would read her the important dates. She would be able to absorb that. And then he would ask her questions. But something strange started happening. Isabel was able to answer a question before he verbally spoke it. Now, let me explain this. He would think of the question in his head, a question such as, who was the 16th president of the United States? Before he could verbally say it, Isabel would answer the question, Abraham Lincoln. Jose Silva was mind blown. And so he wrote to Professor J.B. Ryan at Duke University. J.B. Ryan was famous for his research into a concept called ESP, extrasensory perception. And Silva told Ryan, Doctor, I think I trained my daughter to have ESP. J.B. Ryan replied back in a letter and said, no, that's absolutely not true. No one can be trained to have this. Your daughter must have been born with it. Jose Silva disagreed. So he continued training the rest of his kids to develop